Welcome to this week's edition of Rugby Unfiltered. I'm your host, Jan de Koning, and as always with me, the very knowledgeable Eugene Elof. Lofi, welcome.
Hi, Jan. Yes, and this is a nice welcome because it's exciting times in our country and there's a buzz. There's so much rugby starting this weekend. We don't know where to begin, but I'll leave it in your hands.
Eugene, you talk about a buzz. I'm buzzing because Rassie never disappoints us. He always comes up with he doesn't even pull a rabbit out the hat. He just drops the bomb. Boof. There we go. So we'll discuss the box and Rassie's selection, and then we'll have Rassie's explanation. So we're privileged to have a video from Rassie's press conference, so he'll explain to us. Then we also got the SA team, which is also another very interesting selection. And then obviously we've got the Barbas, and we were lucky enough. I attended the Barbas training. So we had Warwick Galant, and I've got Oliver Kebbel, who also got called up to the Barbas today. So we've got Warwick Galant, and if we've got enough time, I'll give you a bit of Ollie Kebbel's interview as well. But nice exclusive. And then we finish off, Eugene, with the URC final on Friday night, where we've got Victor Matfield and Issa Nasiwa, who's doing their predictions. So, yeah, I mean, but I want to ask you, before we get to the fly-off selection, which is the big bombshell, what is your overall impression of Rassie's starting 15 for Saturday?
Jan, before we start, if I may, I just want to wish our captain, Siya Kolisi, happy birthday today. You know, I bumped into him on Saturday at the capping of the baby box, and he was the same person he was when he was in the green and gold squad as an under 16 boy. And it was actually so nice to see him, and he's really such a ambassador for our younger players and for our country. So, Sia, happy birthday, young man. I see he's grey already, but coming to the team, you know, that's one thing about Rassie Erasmus, and that's why he's one of the most innovative, intelligent rugby coaches out there. And you know, what I like about him, he's not afraid to take chances. He's not afraid to maybe take a risk in a game like this. He's got a plan. He's working towards next year's World Cup. And what better platform to give a lot of young players the opportunity and to mix and match and look at combinations. So, yeah, I love the fact that we are different. And it shows because, you know, when our opposition think that's the way we're going to play next year, they're going to have a surprise. And it's just shown again today by the way he selected this team.
Yeah, the first question I want to ask you, number 10, Quinn Horn.
Quinn, you know, if you look at his history, he's a rugby player. I can actually understand why, and Rassie explained it as well. I can actually understand because that's the biggest question currently on everybody's what they have to say. Listen, where he's a fullback, he played wing. Quinn Horn is a rugby player. I always thought he's too far away from the ball, Jan, because he doesn't get the ball enough from fullback and as an outside back. So I'm looking forward to seeing him at 10 because he's physical. He can kick, he can attack the advantage line, he passes well, and he's got a good feeling for the position. And of course, he comes here from Paul Boisai. So, but that's going to be a very, very interesting player to watch, and I'm sure he's going to pass it with great colors.
Yeah, he is. I mean, Rassie, and we will play Rassie's explanation afterwards, after our discussion. But he is a ball player, like you said. But in the games for the Lions, he often comes into that first receiver channel. So it's a bit like Willie. I know people have tried Willie Leroux at fly off, but Quinn is that type of player that you can try fly off. And I agree with you. I don't think he'll be out of place. The other interesting selection for me is Riley Norton at number 4 lock.
Yeah, that does not surprise me. If you look at Riley's build-up of his career, and you know he's been to these camps, so Rassie had an opportunity to see him, and Riley's got something special. He's not just a junior Springbok captain because he's Riley Norton. He brings something special, and sometimes, you know, if you're good enough, you're old enough. It's going to be interesting to see how he holds out to that, and it's a good test for him as well. And besides Riley, it's a great opportunity for him, and I think for the youngsters coming through the system, they must also be able to see that they're going to get the opportunity if they're good enough and they put up their hand. And the other great choice that if I jump the gun a bit here is I'm happy to see Carlos Sadi there because I've been watching him since a youngster, and then unfortunately was injured at a stage, but he had a fantastic season abroad. So it's going to be because we need another tight head. So yeah, that's also and a strong bench, but I guess you'll still get to the bench.
Yeah, I just want to stop for a second at Carlos Sadi. We mustn't forget that he's a European champion at the moment. He had an amazing final against Leinster. So, you know, he scrummed against the Irish props. So we know that he can scrum. I mean, that Bordeaux scrum demolished the Leinster scrum, which is basically the Irish scrum. So, yeah, I think we've got enough depth in there. You know, maybe Andre Hugo-Venter, but he's been on the fringes for a while. Oxenche, I thought Rassie could have rested him as well. We've got enough loose heads for this Barbers game. I don't think the Barbers will want to scrum a lot, so I would have rested. But let's move on to the bench. Mchunu, JJ Kotze, and Zach Porton. It's a very young but a very powerful bench, front row.
Yes, if you look at that, I know Zachary since he was at school. You know, he's also studying at Stadio, and he's getting this opportunity. He's already shown maturity at a young age. You must know tight head props, and anyone that listens to our program that plays in the front row will also tell you that you don't just when you're 21, 22, 23 become this monster. But Zachary's got it all. He's also got a leadership qualities, intelligent player. But what I'm excited about, besides the front row, is having Paul de Villiers there, who I thought him and Evan Roos as a combination would be very interesting to see what they bring. Besides the physicality, also, you know, on the ball, Paul is most probably one of the best fetchers in the world currently. You know, you go look at the strike rate, and then a few older players as well on the bench with Faf, who brings maturity and experience, but Vusi Moyo, another new one. So I think, you know, should Q battle at 10, which I don't think is going to happen, you've got Vusi putting up his hand and having an opportunity. So, Jan, all in all, I'm looking forward to this match so much. And also, Fassi coming back from injury, and a few old heads, a few young heads, and to see how this pot is going to print.
Yeah, I think the one that we mustn't skip is Ben Jason Dixon. Rassie spoke last week already about he wanted to find a replacement for Franco Mostert. It's a number 4 lock that can also play flank, and he's been looking for them, and BJ can do that. So as you look at that, after the front row, you've got BJ Dixon, then you've got Paul de Villiers, who's an out-and-out flank, and Evan Roos, which is a loose forward that can play flank or number 8. So BJ is obviously there as lock cover, but we know he can play blindside flank. So I think that bench in itself is typical Rassie. You know, Zachary Porton, you spoke about him, but we mustn't forget that he can also play on both sides of the scrum. He's done that for the Spring. He's played a test at Lucid and he's played a test at Taite. And you're right, he's not the finished product yet, but Rassie's creative hand is all over that bench.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, you know, the world, there's a scarceness of tight heads. So I always, when young guys ask me, what must I play, tight or loose? It is more difficult to play tight head. I tell them to play tight head, and the world will be your oyster once you finish the Springbok rugby. But congratulations to all those guys. We really back them and looking forward to see what they are bringing to the table.
Well, Eugene, maybe now is a good time to listen to Rassie's explanation of, he certainly touched on the fly-off and the reasons why. And I think the listeners must also read between the lines. So he explains the fly-off position, but that also counts for places like lock and the wing and other positions. So the reason, his explanation might as well count for a few others. So let's listen to Rassie's explanation, and then we'll chat further.
I think Mani's played a lot of rugby on that side. You know, we must see as Andre get through the game this weekend without an injury. And I think we've learned our lessons last year when we played the Barbarians, or Japan, and we got an injury to Oxenche. And we really didn't have to play Oxen in that specific game because he was match fit and everything. And then Janendra got suspended, and then eventually we had to go with Boan and Gerrit, who did really well. So we're trying just to avoid that with Mani. And then also, obviously, we want to see Kian Horn, can he play 10-15? Hopefully in future that will help with 6-2 splits, and because we know he can play wing, play 15. And the guys, the other assistant coaches, all of us really see something special in him when it comes to 10. And then Vusi on the bench, I must say he's one of the guys that really caught the eye, I would say, in this 2 weeks. Very calm guy, physical, big kicks really without effort. So we think the two of them could. Well, obviously Tony and Stocker has big influence there. I think what he does for the Lions, maybe there's not a 10 on his back, but he certainly comes into the mix a lot at 10, first receiver. And we've been working with him now for 3 years at training sessions, and we just like the way he takes the ball to the line. You know, he's an awesome defender. He's got a really great pass, and he's not bunk. You know, he's not a guy that's afraid for if somebody runs into that channel. And I think we're lucky with having guys like Sasha. I mean, Mani, people look at his size. He's an awesome defender. And then the same with Andre. So we'd like to keep it the same. Vusi is also a great defender. So yeah, I think it's going to be a little bit new for him to start with on 10, but he does it a hell of a lot in his franchise. Not starting at 10, alternating to general. Yeah, Carlo, we actually forget that he's been at a lineman camp before. Sometimes we forget it so long ago. No, I think what I can pick up from him is he's really grateful to be here. Or, you know, he stated it before for a lineman camp, and he's certainly done really well at his club. You know, it's not a lot of us that can say we've won Champions Cups. He's one of those guys that can say that. He's not an old guy. He's a guy who comes junior structures. He's played for us, and then at one stage he had a really bad injury. I think he was signing with somebody, and then there was a bit of a spell out. So I can see he's a desperate guy. Not desperate in the sense that if he doesn't make it, he's nowhere desperate to wear the jersey, which is quite important.
And then, of course, we go to the SAA, and Coach Stocker, as they call him, he explained most of the decisions and picking players in positions. And Jan, again, if you look at this team, a bunch of the youngsters are getting opportunity, and this for them is the first step into big rugby. Yeah, a lot of people say they're playing Zimbabwe, but Zimbabwe is going to the World Cup, and this is part of their preparation. And if you have a quick look at the team, you know, you got youngsters like Gilumia, Williams, Marcus Miller, also from our town here at Gim, wonderful athlete. And then you got the old head with Lekanyo Am. And then my all-time favorite, I think the next big 9 and 10 in the country is going to be Asim Pete and Yachin Ahmed. I love it. I can't wait to see them play. And then some guys that really deserve a position like Pepsi, Tsutsuka, both of them, the brothers. And of course, a pillar of Western Province, Ruben van Heerden, getting his opportunity. We discussed him last week. And then the normal guys are there. And I don't know if you maybe want to talk about the bench.
Yeah, Lofi, before we go to the bench, you spoke earlier about Sia going a bit grey. I'll tell you one thing. Lekanyo Am is definitely the Opa of that team. And so is Neethling Forshire. So in a team where some of the guys are still under 20, these two guys are in their 30s. So there's a couple. I think Bone Venter is quite close to that as well. And Ruben is a youngster. Aduka is, again, Vincent Tsutsuka at number 4. So that, to me, that's another Rassie written all over. A flank that can play 4-lock. So Rassie is clearly using this game. You know, people might say, oh, no, he's resting his, as he explained, he's resting his players for the Nations Champions Cup. So players of the front, apart from the Bulls that are not available this week, he's resting some other players. But if you look deeper in it, that's why I said to the guys, I must listen and read between the lines. So you look at the team, Vincent Tsutsuka, it's a flank that can play lock, number 4 lock. And that's what Rassie is looking for. So we should never underestimate the genius of Rassie's selections. He tries things at the right time. And so far, nothing, you know, we're still number 1. I said to somebody else today, we're still number 1. He can try what he likes. We're still number 1 in the world. We're double world champions. Until we start losing, Rassie can do what he likes because whatever he's doing he's getting it right and he's keeping us at number one. So for me, that there's the Rassie's hand and his creative and ingenious hand is all over this team. So I think Liam van Wyk and Oliver Reed, Hanro Jacobs, and Adrey Smit gets a run at the on the bench. So Sibaya Mahashe is also getting a run, and I think that for me is one of the exciting. I mean, there's a lot of exciting players in this team, but I think I would love to see him. He's a guy that we might see in a Springbok team not too far down the line. And then obviously Nico Steyn says, if you look at that again, this is where we got to understand Rassie's hand. So we got two scrum halves on the bench, and people say, why you got two scrum halves on the bench? Nico Steyn often plays fly off for the Lions. So there's a backup fly off. They're both scrum halves. So this is how Rassie picks. He finds a player that he knows that can cover 2 positions or 3 positions, and then he uses that to select other players around him, and his creative and his flexibility in his benches are usually the best part of his selections for me.
Okay, yes, of course. And Imad Khan can also play wing. He's quick enough. So that's how the scrum off. And then it's going to be interesting to see Jorenzo Julius, what he brings to the table. He had a very good season for the Sharks. So, yeah, I think we're in for action this weekend.
Very, very much. So, Lofi, let's move on to the Barbers. We don't know their team yet. They're only going to name their team later this week. But we've got some interesting players there. So, as I mentioned at the start, we've already spoken to Warwick Gelant, who we spoke about at the start of the podcast. We've got Oliver Kebbel. We've got Duan van der Merwe. But the interesting thing, Lofi, is that Duan van der Merwe and Warwick Gelant played at school together at Outeniqua. And this is the first time since their matric year, since their first team year and that Kwagga team that year took some big trees down. They knocked over a few big teams that year. So they combining together. So they were very excited. You could see it at the Barbers training sessions. They were very excited seeing each other and playing together. So we can expect a few tricks that people haven't seen before. If they come off, it'll be awesome. If they don't come off, the Springboks will score. But I think we shouldn't be too harsh on the Barbers. They're here for a good time and to entertain us. And I'm sure they will entertain us. So, yeah, I mean, it really is both Warwick and Oliver Kebbel explained to us that the occasion, the team, the history behind this team, the occasion and the fun part of this, that's what this game is all about. That's what the Barbers are all about. So, this is not a test match. This is entertainment. So for those guys who like entertainment, go to the stadium, buy your tickets, or if you can't get to Port Elizabeth, then just switch on your television and have some fun.
Jan, you think this is not going to be a test? This is going to be war. This is going to be absolute war. Hey, just remember the coach also wants to restore his good name, Razor. And the players, you know what I like about the Barbarians? They give it a shot. And as you said yourself, if it comes off great, if not, I've just got this feeling that this Barbers team is going to be more structured. They're going to maybe play a little bit more structured. And I think it's going to be game on. I haven't seen the final team yet, how they're going to start and so on. But I think it's going to be game on. And there's a lot of pride at stake. And I guess for players, for the South African-born players that get an opportunity for them, I think it's fantastic to have a Barbarian jersey. And secondly, maybe just to be seen playing again, So, again, coming back to what you said right in the beginning, this is going to be such a great weekend of rugby.
I agree. So maybe this is the best time to introduce Warwick Gelant, and then straight afterwards we'll play a part of a clip of Oliver Kebbel as well, just so you can get a feeling for what these players and how they feel about playing for the Barbers.
Philippe is a player that I've watched. One of the few Argentinians that you could relate to, the way he played the game at 10 and 12. The way he controlled the game, either his kicking game, his passing game, his running game. So, like I said, it's experiences. The way Razor is also, you know, just he's open, he's down to earth. He makes himself so much accessible, and you know we sort of learn open for ideas. We're on the road and we sort of like on the go. We make plans and we sort of drop in information and we sort of share ideas, and I think that's special. Something that I can take back to myself, to the Stormers, to the younger guys in the club. So I mean, it's IP you can share with the world, so it's special. You can't put it in better words than that.
Your first appearance for the Barbers. Talk to us about the occasion and what it means for you.
No, it's special. I think it's every player's dream. I think to play in a Barbarians team with guys, you know, you often play against every year or just, you know, see them on TV. And I mean, mates like Viremi Vakatawa that I made at Racing, I played against him sevens for France, and obviously South Africa versus France. Duan that we played in school with together, coming to one team together, and you know, have this sort of 10 years later out of school, it's amazing. So I think it's going to be special.
The game itself, I know that the build-up, traditionally Barbers build-up is I wouldn't say not serious, but it's a lot more relaxed than you would say a Springbok build-up is or a Western Province Stormers build-up is. What do you expect from the week itself and in the game?
I think what they get right here is sort of just implementing sort of the fundamentals of the game again. I think that's what Barbers Rugby is about, you know, getting that enjoyment back, how you fell in love with the game. And it's not necessarily, like you say, the traditional way of preparing, but it's waking up all of those skills you learn primary school, high school, why you enjoy the game, you know, having the ball in your hand, like expressing your skill set. I think that's what's special here and in the preparation going to a test. So I mean, it's very different. But I mean, you've just seen now how the game is global and different ways work. So it's nice to be part of this too.
Now, we obviously don't know the Bok team yet, but talk to us about facing the Boks.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be nice because it's my teammates that's there. It's older teammates. It's guys that I know. So it's also nice to sort of know where they find themselves at, and they're the best in the world. So going with these boys against them, I think it's a challenge for all of us. I mean, it's not often that you can play against the world champs if you're a South African.
Yeah.
And I mean, that is the best way of sort of competition, I think. So it's special.
Yeah. I have to ask you, between you and Duan, who knows Cape Town better? Who's leading the party tonight?
I must give it to Duan. Yeah, I'm like he's more Scottish than me, but he knows Cape Town better than me. So yeah. So I mean, we went to the Bulls together. He was at the sevens for a stint, so I thought, okay, maybe we're gonna get a chance there. Never got it. And I mean, for obvious reasons, he's in Scotland. He's playing for Scotland. So I mean, that dream was sort of down the drain, and you know, it just came together like last night when I came here, and I was like, so like, oh, we're together. It's so special. So
Warwick,
yeah.
You spoke about expressing yourself and the occasion. Being in this game, do you feel this is the right environment for you to really enjoy yourself naturally, where you're not restricted by a certain type of game?
I mean, like I said, the game will require always three things. It's running, kicking, passing. It's just what do you want to do in a given moment, and then do you have enough responsibility with the decision you're going to make at the end of the day. So I think it's a great place to sort of, you know, look for space, see space, and go to it with whatever necessary means.
Parts, like you need to be fit at the right time. There's international selection, club selection that you got to get around. So then bring so many special guys into one room. I think I always kind of pinch myself sitting around in a team meeting and you're looking across and you got guys who's some of the best guys in their position around. So I think it's unique and quite special, and not everyone gets the invite, so that makes it particularly special, and you've got to make the most of it if you do. So really fun. It's very unique because you know there's no pressure on selection or you're worrying about getting a new contract or whatever it is. It's a one-off game. You don't mind if you're starting on the bench. You're just happy to be a part of it. So I think there's not a lot of pressure on us. Obviously, we want to perform well on Saturday and get a result, but the pressure is kind of always on the opposition and us in our positions. We're just having fun. So I think it's a very relaxed week, and it's a good week for sure.
I'm sure you guys haven't seen the actual Springbok team, but what are you expecting of them?
Well, I know a few guys. So. No, actually, I don't know anything about who they're picking, but I'd assume they're going to pick quite a strong team.
So
Apart
the
from
team's
those
already
guys.
out. Yes.
Yeah, it's
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Riley's starting.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
At 4,
At four.
Well, tell me the team. Can I guess it?
yeah. All right, I'll open it and then you can have a go.
Yeah. I'd say it's Ox. Who would the tight head be?
All right, you're 1 for 1.
Ox, well, that's the easy one. Malcolm's injured.
Yes.
Is JJ there? He's on the bench.
Okay, just on the bench. Yeah.
Fenas playing?
Andre Ego started, yeah.
Is he started?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Sure. Congrats, Fenas, if you're watching that. Who's tight head? Is Neertling playing?
Bench.
Zach Porton?
Also bench. Oh, sorry. Neertling is for the SAA.
Okay.
And Zach's on the bench.
Wilco would be in Dublin.
Yeah.
And then Vincent Koch?
Carlos Sardi.
Oh, Saudi,
Yes,
okay. Yeah. So you say Riley's at 5?
4.
At 4? 5 is it Franco?
Yes.
Is Peter Steff playing?
So it's 7.
Jasper
Yeah.
at 8. And Paul de Villiers? Oh,
Grant's 9. But
Okay.
I'm gonna give you a few guesses for 10 because I don't think you're gonna get 10.
Really?
Yeah.
Damien Wilson.
No.
Okay, it's a weird one. Hello. Thanks, man. Thank you. So I'm not going to guess 10.
I don't think. I'll be surprised if you get it.
It's not me. No, tell me.
Kwan Horn.
Oh, look, I almost saw. Isn't he like a 15?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, Lions
yeah.
15, yeah.
Okay. Is Damien playing?
No.
No, Willemsen not playing.
No.
Yeah, he's obviously resting his big boys for the
Chesney.
yeah.
Oh, so there are quite a few changes there.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah,
Chesney in? No.
Yeah, Chesy's on wing.
Who would be fullback then? I was going to guess Damien or Quinn Hall.
So who would be your other Bok fullback?
Rapaleli?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So he's 15.
Who am I missing?
Then the centers.
What about Kane and Moody?
No.
Okay.
Other wing is Edwell.
Okay.
And center pairing up. I guess you could probably
Jesse
get
and Damien De Allende or
Andre.
Oh, and Andre.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you're gonna have to edit that heavily. That took a while.
Eugene, yeah, right onto the URC final. We had the privilege of sitting in with two legends, Victor Matfield, Springbok World Cup winner, and 3-time Super Rugby winner with the Bulls, captained them to 3 titles, including that famous Soweto doubleheader semi-final and final. And then Issa Nasiwa, New Zealander, born in New Zealand, represented Fiji, and captained Leinster to European Cup and Pro 12 double. So it was very interesting to see them talk about the Bulls and the Leinster. And there's so little to choose between the two. So obviously Leinster is at home. Leinster will be hurting from their loss in the European Cup final against Bordeaux. But the Bulls are the formed team. So interesting enough, I saw a stat where the Bulls had, by round 10 of the URC, they had 13% chance of reaching the final. That's past the halfway stage. They only had a 13% chance. On Friday, they play in the final. That means in the last 8 rounds, they picked up tremendous form. And I think that form showed when they beat Munster in the quarterfinal and Glasgow Warriors away in the semi-final. So I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, yes, Victor Matfield at his prediction and Issa Nasiwa at his prediction. But I really think the Bulls have got a realistic chance of finally bringing a title home.
Absolutely. So if you ask yourself, what is the Bulls' weapon? It's the physicality and the scrums. If I recall right, that the one prop of Leinster not withdrawn now with the injury?
Yes,
That was
yes.
the guy
The
that was
Irish,
thrown
the
by
Irish
Bill.
prop is out injured, yeah. And their captain is
Yeah.
doubtful, and they've got two other players that are doubtful. So we'll only know Thursday or Friday what the teams are like. But they've got significant injuries, especially in the scrum. So they're in trouble in the scrums.
Yeah, I know because the previous time when they played, Wilco Low scrummed them and Lacassin. So I thought, first of all, a lot of credit for Johan Ackerman that turned this team around. If you look at the two coaches, their approaches, Johan is hardcore. He's there. He gets the guys to run through a wall for him and for their province and their supporters. Cullen, on the other side, he empowers the players, and he looks like a CEO sitting on the side, but he's very, very controlled and very, very structured. But I tell you, I say the Bulls' weapon is the scrums, and their weapon is their defense. And we're going to talk about Jacques now. To me, the biggest tussle is going to be between the two scrum-offs, Gibson and Papier. I think that are two world-class scrum-offs playing against each other. What makes them dangerous, Jan, if you also go look at stats, is when they're in the green zone or red zone, some coaches turn around. They got the ability to score. They strike and score, and they get off the mark quickly. They usually get points on the board quickly, get momentum, keep momentum. The Bulls, to me, is currently the most consistent team in this competition, and I'm going to go with the Bulls to win it by 3. And I'm sticking my neck out. Leinster is a great side. They're playing at home. It's going to be, I think the stadium can take 80,000 people.
80,000, yes. Croke Park can take 80,000, yes.
So it's going to be massive. It's going to be big. It's going to be a final. It's not always pretty. Hopefully, we are intelligent that if we can get 3 points, we take it so we can build the innings. But I'm going with the Bulls to win it. And good luck to all the Bulls supporters out there and to the team and the coaches.
Well, one thing is for certain, I don't think Andre Pollard can have as bad a performance off the tee as he did last week. So I'm sure they will take their points. But I think it's a good time to listen to what Victor and Isa said about the game.
It's very difficult. I think you can't only have one weapon, but if you only have one weapon, for the Bulls will definitely be their scrum. I mean, they've got that same front row that really destroyed Ireland last year at the end of year tour. It'll be interesting to see if they start with Wilco Low or they bring him off the bench with Jan-Hendrik Wessels again. So I think the scrum for the Bulls are their big weapon, and they would love to get penalties and even maybe yellow cards from the scrum. And then for Leinster, it's between that hard defense. But I just say, I think when they get into your 22, the execution of scoring and just the structure that they have, the option that they've got in the 22 is unbelievable. So if you give them too many opportunities in your 22, you are in trouble because the conversion rate is really good. Yeah, it's a difficult one. Like I said, I mean, Leinster must be the favourites, but I'm going to go with my heart. I think the Bulls are going to graft. It's not going to be easy. They'll have to be at the utmost best. I mean, they will need to be so physical if they want to compete in this final. But I just think the momentum, the belief that they've created in this last 8 to 10 weeks is there, and the unity that they've got as a team is fantastic. So Bulls by 1, I'll take 1.
Isa?
Yeah, and look, I think Croke Park Friday night, James Lowe's last game. They're still hurting from the Bordeaux match. There's a lot on the line, and I think this Leinster team has almost embraced that type of pressure. It hasn't always gone their way, but they finished the season with the URC trophy last year, and I think that is the single-minded goal that they'll be going into this match with. So I'll take Leinster by 1. One's enough.
Yes, Jan, they're the two legends have spoken what we actually also think closer to the game. And interesting predictions. Very much. Victor's a loyal guy. Said he's speaking from his heart. So yes, I back him and I back the team. So let's hope the weather plays out, that it's going to be a great game. I think the referee that was appointed was the Italian, if I recall right.
Yardi, yeah.
Yeah, so let's hope he lets the game flow, and we have a good game of rugby this weekend. So thanks.
Eugene, yeah, I think that's a good note to finish off on. Thank you for your insights again and your knowledgeable insights. So yes, from me, Jan de Koning, till next week, have a wonderful, blessed and enjoyable weekend of rugby.
Cheers. En
Cheers.
op die blou.
Ek sien jy draai jou klere.